Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, it should be right now. Aha. Okay. Aha. Aha. Hello, hello.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hi. I'm in a different
Sorry, we're
place.
late. Me and Jane have been chatting,
We
Oh,
have. So yeah.
that's great.
having conversations more than chatting.
Yeah, we were having conversations. Yeah.
Powerful
I'm like,
conversations.
we've got to go. It's book club. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful conversations. Very powerful.
That's great. Welcome, Jessica. How's it going?
Amazing. How are y'all?
Good. Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Very good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for letting me check this out. I'm super excited to be here.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Hey Devin. You came for a really good session. This is like, I don't know, this is the most powerful stuff I think in the book for sure. Um, Most powerful and most in your face. I find. It's like every time I'm like, oh man, I'm stumbling in my business or my personal life, like one of the 18 disciplines just comes up. It's like, oh my goodness. Um, as you can see, I'm in a different place. I'm on the road today too, so this is going to be a cool kind of shift from normal.
Where's Devon gone? He was there and now I can't see him.
I know he disappeared.
Oh,
I think he
as long as
lost
it's not me.
internet connection. Hopefully he comes back. Um, Last week we were doing the 12th Prosperous Coach chapter, which for some reason is totally escaping my mind right now. But does anybody have anything that they kind of from the last week that struck them from the previous chapter? I don't know if I think this is all
I'm
new.
so gutted. I've missed two and I haven't yet done them. I haven't done the replay either. So
Oh
And I
no.
I'm
have to own
excited.
up to
I'm excited to
yeah,
watch.
I have to own up to missing the last one and not having done it yet. Apologies for the last one. I was on the last of the Creative Recharge webinars, and Nick chooses to put them on the same night. That's not on, is it, Neil? Really? Let's face it. No, I
Oh
can't be
man.
two places.
Yeah, totally. That's like I understand though. That's life. Like
Yeah, and also it was the last one, so it was definitely the most important thing to be face to face on. So yeah,
totally, totally. And there's
yeah,
replays for this. There's so much like it's in the conversation really is the gold. Devin, you're back.
yes.
I think you switched locations. um, okay, cool. Why don't we dive in, see what kind of happens, see if anybody else shows up, and just go from there. Just gonna see if someone is trying to. I think Dennis is maybe trying to get into or maybe he's somewhere else. Anyways, let's do it. This is super cool. I have to use this. This is not my computer, so bear with me if I'm kind of like trying to make my way through it. But yeah, let's take a look at this. So I love these disciplines. I also love what um what he says in the very beginning about these disciplines. And I also feel like just letting you know, Jessica, this is like not a webinar. So if you like, feel free to speak up, raise your hand if you have things that you want to say. If you're like, whoa, that really stands out to me, I'd love to share what's on my mind. Like the only real hierarchy is to just raise your hand. That's about it's the only thing. Other than that, it's a round table kind of discussion. So yeah, so we call these the 18 fearless disciplines. I think that's probably starts it off pretty strong right there. Because they're activities that work, but only when practiced. So they're kind of like principles. And they're like a continual deepening. Remember that you have to practice them, not just understand them, not just agree with them, not just appreciate them, but practice them. They are not theories we always knew would work. I think that this is so key, the way he says this. They are retroactively collected practices harvested from what has worked for me and Rich and our clients over the years and what still works today. And I also really like this, how it's like a trifecta, right? It's not just him and Rich, it's also his clients, which makes me think that it works for people who are not necessarily coaches. It's going to work for all different types of people in all different sectors of our life. So we'll describe them briefly first and explain further in the next chapter. This one right here is sell the experience, not the concept. So that the client's only decision is whether or not to continue coaching with you. This, to me, I think I've used this more nowadays, like in every situation I'm in. Like even in a musical situation, when someone is like, hey, Nick and I were talking about this actually, and it's like, would you describe kind of what happens in music, or would you just play with someone? Like, he asked me what I would do if I wanted, say, a horn player to play a melody line for me. He's like, would you explain like, oh, it's 8 notes and then a tied quarter note and then a rest, or would you just sing? And then he's like, what would you do? And I just sang a melody to him. And he was like, yeah, exactly. So what would you do? You'd sell the experience. You'd actually do the thing and then ask the person to kind of mimic that. So there's a lot of situations where this is a big deal. And we're probably going to go, I'm going to try and rapid fire through these with us, like try to kind of push us along. But if we only get through some of them, I kind of want depth over breadth. So my first question to you guys would be, when have you sold the experience? Would you have a situation, or when did you, or even the opposite, when have you tried to sell the concept and it fell flat? You realized you needed to sell the experience. I'm just gonna stop this. Dennis, welcome, by the way.
This is actually very exciting for me because I'm here. I'm actually putting together something. Devin, I know you're there. I just don't see you. Thank you so much for sharing Mary with us. She is actually actively assisting me in putting together a little seminar having to do with, I call it confident communication, with being able to deal with groups and being able to get up there and sing. It's really interesting because that was one of the things that would pop up occasionally in Domino. And so the selling in that manner, the offering, the education and whatsoever is actually something that I'm already there at. So this really speaks to me.
That's awesome, man. Do you have so how did, like, I kind of want to tease that apart a little bit for you because it's so fresh. It's happening right now. So what are some of the ways that you kind of plan on selling the experience? Like, because you have the concept of that confident conversation.
No, absolutely. It's very, very fresh, and it's very real time, and it's very now. So I have drawn a brand new URL. GoDaddy has now AI to complete a complete website for you with a point of sale, with all of the information that's available to that. I just sat down this morning. It's really kind of cool. Hey, dude, it's really kind of cool because I just sent a message to Mary. I said, you know what? I woke up excited, and that hasn't happened for a while. With
Nice.
with the possibility of what it is. And I actually sat down this morning before I even had my first cup of coffee and banged out like a three or four paragraph introduction to my confident communication course or seminar or whatever it's going to become. And I started off with the lines from Eminem, lose yourself, right? So you're laughing, but that's accurate, dude. Okay. His palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti barfed on his thing, and he can't get the words out, and blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what happens when you get in front of a group. And you suffer from this, and it's hard to beat it. And I said, you practice the song 100 times in your bedroom. You know the song, you get out there, your mind goes blank. You can't do it. You can't pop it out. You're standing there before the group. You got your 3x5 cards. You ran through this a dozen times in front of the mirror, and the words won't come out of your mouth. And so I just went on from there. Some of the tough things that I grew up with. I've been performing all my life. Conflict resolution as a cop, an instructor internationally, dealing with communicating through a language assistant and interpreter, both in United Nations and Kosovo with all the varied languages, and then in Africa when I was an instructor. So it's pretty exciting. So I'm putting that down. I got the website that we're going with. I'm talking about what I'm having. Those of you that joined me in the group, thank you for legitimizing that for me, because nobody likes to go into a group where nobody is. And it's really helpful to have you there. Thank you so much. And I'm excited both with that and with my new coach, Jane Reason, who is
Nice.
a very wise. She doesn't look like Yoda, but she channels that. She's extremely wise. And so this creation, this enrollment, and showing an answer to a problem rather than just pumping out some kind of a product for people. Isn't that where we go? We're looking for answers. We're not looking to go buy the latest toothpaste or whatever. We just want our teeth to be clean and not fall out of our head. And it's that kind of a thing with everything else. And Jane and I had this conversation. Most of what ails us when we go up in front of people has nothing to do with going up in front of people. It's a bunch of other shit we pack around, and it affects what happens when we get placed in that pressure situation. And so thank you to all of you that have spoken into my life and are actively being my friends. I appreciate that very much. And the love works. It's a free flowing thing. So so I'm excited with all this. The new confidentcommunication.us, new website, point of sale, everything is all coming together. And with the AI and everything, even if you have to make it more real, what a hell of a research tool. Because all the stuff that we used to have to go and dig through this bunch of, I see Jane's books up there, go dig through all those books for the right phrases or the right word or the right synonym or any of that. And now we just punch in, hey dude, I'd like to put a program together, and it goes and it spits it out. And it may not be right, but it gives you a structure to work off of. And you look at it and you say, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I wouldn't do, oh, I can change that, And so those things, selling that experience, yeah, because how shy I am to speak in front of people. I totally relate. Actually, the funny thing is I have been, but I mean, I've been a stage actor. I've done movies. I had to memorize a whole, single type piece of a script and perform it the next day on camera. All those experiences, I've had those, being the new kid, being the outcast, being picked on, and trying to make everything happen. So I really feel excited and I feel comfortable about doing this. And I really believe that because I'm committed in my heart, that the experience will be an easier thing to present to somebody because they're going to relate to that on a totally different basis than if I just simply offered a cold product for X amount of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about having a coach is I get access to my coach. I get that relationship. And isn't that what this is a relationship? You know, I don't know how long Jane will put up with me, but we have a relationship. We talk back and forth with each other. We reason things out. You know, like the understanding of a child, we unpacked that the other day. And it was like, you know, parents mess their kids up. Okay, well, what if with the limited understanding of a child, that was the only way you could see it, and that's how you pack that around the rest of your life? What if you go revisit that as an adult now that your thought processes are expanded and work better, and revisit those situations and see if that was the reality or if that was your childhood perception? You know, so all of those things enter into that. And I think it's totally cool, and I'm excited about being on that. And thank you for being my family. And I'm done.
I have man, that's so awesome. There's so much there. There's so much there. To the point where I feel like I'm gonna restructure the call in a little bit of a way and not go linear the um through the different disciplines, because you touched on like 3 or 4 in what you were talking about there.
Sorry, I'm yeah, I'm not a coach, but if I was one, you know, I would have done a better job of that. But I'm
Oh,
learning.
you did fantastic. It was great. The points were all kind of woven into it, which I think is really fantastic, which shows kind of the stream of consciousness. That stream of consciousness, this isn't linear, this thing. And these, even though they're 18 disciplines, I wouldn't say they're linear disciplines. So maybe we can go kind of bounce around if I can kind of pick them out of what people are saying. So before I do that, before I kind of move on to the next one though, Devin, you wanted to weigh in on that too? That was awesome, Dennis, by the way. Great. You kind of helped me think about the call too. So
Thank you. Love you.
Dennis, celebrating you.
yeah,
Also,
man.
you are a clear example of the group name, confident communicator. Yeah, I don't think you have any stage right here sharing.
Dude, you gave me such a gift and I appreciate it so much. And I always will. Thank you very much. That was an awesome thing when you brought Mary into the room.
Yeah, dude, for sure, man.
And I love you for that, dude. Thank you.
Glad you took it and ran with it. I love this first discipline so much, and it made things real for coaching for me. And I just wanted to give at least two examples that are really practical that I think others would benefit from as well. So it's selling the experience, not intellectualizing it, not the concept of it. Yeah. So before I ever made like any real money in coaching, I poured into like marketing coaches and getting all of this stuff and like the page dialed in with the copy and the pillars of your program and the transformation from A to B, and you're just like so much conceptual crap. And I think there was value in it, and I saw what tools I could bring and what transformations I could provide, and I went through like 30 something plus calls trying to do it that way and showing people this like brilliant process. Look how cool my process is. Look at how transformed you'll be. Zero interest. Maybe a little interest, but zero money. I can't run a business off of interest alone. And then I threw all of that out of frustration. And I was just like, I'm just going to do the thing. I'm going to give them a taste of it. And then just ask them if they want to continue. Like, not even ask them if they would want to continue. Just like, this be useful if we did this every week. And then people paid me. So it was like all of the intellectual, perfectly polished marketing stuff and no money and frustration to just serving someone and being like, throughout all the scripts and go, do you want to do this? Could this be useful? They're like, yeah, where's the link? So that's the first one. And then I also thought in live experiences, and whether they're coaching or there was a retreat experience that I thought of where it was like we get to a point. I'm specifically remembering a point in a group experience, and we got to the point where like there was an intellectual breakthrough, like this is what I need to do. And instead of leaving it there, creating an opportunity for them to actually go do that thing and practice that, like if it's bravery or courage or being seen that they're like up against and they know that they need to step into, it's like, great, what's that call that you can make right now? Can you share something with all of us right now? And I've literally in session had people go like, I'm just really scared to post anything online or go live, but I really know I need to. And I'm like, all right, take out the phone. And from that, it just serves them so much more than just like thinking about it. That's all.
Yeah, that's like the Steve Hardison way, man. Like if you've read Puck, I guess, like The Ultimate Coach. Yeah, totally. He just like would be like, oh, you want to talk to such and such? Hey, there's someone here who wants to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like it's that level of immediate, let's build it right now. Like not like, oh, let's build a plan for how you could eventually take action, but what's going to be a powerful shift that's going to occur literally at this point in time. Just for Ellen and Layla, we are on the, oh no, what happened to it? Gotta pull it up here. We were talking about my favorite part of the book. I think it should probably be, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it should be everyone's favorite part because it's like so ridiculously important. And we were just talking about, Devin was just weighing in on, and so was Dennis, on sell the experience, not the concept. So that the client's only decision is whether or not to continue coaching with you. I think this is a super powerful, and I feel like we should kind of push on though, because otherwise we're going to hang out on this one concept for a while. So unless anyone has like something short that they just want to throw in there, yeah, Jane, go for it.
I think that selling the concept is really hard, because when you're talking transformation coaching, it's like, well, what transformation do you get? Well, it depends what you bring. You know, it's too vague. So when you coach somebody, they kind of feel it, and feeling something and getting an experience and getting a sensation, it's far more powerful than trying to put words around it. Words are too clumsy. You know, I've tried to describe why coaching on my website and given up several times. It's kind of like, okay, how do I put words on this? Let's just put a coaching experience on there instead. Let's just give it, you know? And yeah, just coach. Because so many people don't understand what coaching is.
Totally. Yeah, and it really is. I find it really is a feeling, and it really is connected to like, it's like Nick had said, it's invisible a lot of the time until you start to know what to look for, and then it becomes a really profound experience and super useful. But until then, and feeling is definitely the way in, rather than some shopping list.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
You could be super successful, or quantum accelerate your company.
You know, I've got so many people. Even my husband says, "So, what transformation do you bring for your clients?" Well, it depends the transformation that they create. That's no good. You need to sell. No, I don't. I'm not going to put something on there because it will not be right for every person. You know, it's and that's the challenge, isn't it? So selling the concept, I can't even put words to the concept. So it's got to be the experience.
Nice. I like that. A natural coach. Ellen.
Hi guys. I haven't been around lately, amongst others, because I was with Michael Neal in London, and we did an exercise just about this that I would really like to share because it was very powerful. We were in groups, and one by one, we were to explain one 103 terms like presence, for instance, but it could also be like transformation. So we were to explain it for 1 minute, and then we were to shift to describing the same term for 1 minute. And the shift was wow. So I would really recommend that for every one of you. Try to do that yourself. First, start off by explaining like a concept, and then you describe it, how it feels.
Oh, it feels okay.
It's really amazing, and you get so much more in contact with yourself, and you get out there and into other people's hearts. So that's really powerful, both for yourself and for the listener. So instead of trying to explain a concept that you're selling, if you are describing it instead, that's all that I want to share.
That okay.
That's
So
Sorry, I'm just gonna say that's the power of stories, isn't it? Having stories.
absolutely, absolutely. Go for it, Devin, and I'm going to try to move on because I got a place I want to go.
Yeah, really briefly, I won't hold you up here. I just wanted to celebrate Alexis because what she's been doing with her content is the perfect demonstration of this. And if anyone's been struggling with social media, it's a great example to go like, what is the demonstration of this? Like if I were at an event and I had a 5-minute demonstration, like let's say you were a masseuse, and instead of like trying to tell people about the best massage, you'd be like 5-minute massage sample. Like, let me just give you the experience. And she's doing these videos. I don't know if anyone's seen, but it's all just like guided somatic experiences, 1 minute guided somatic experiences. So instead of talking about it, it's just like, here you go, follow along, feel for yourself.
Can you
Brilliant.
post one in the chat, Alexis, so we can or
Even better.
if you can post it on I don't know if we have each other on Facebook, but post it in the comments.
Yeah, I need to get in on the Facebook group link. I don't know if I haven't found that yet, but I would love to share. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
such a taste.
Just
The
post
taste.
it.
Yeah.
Post it on my. I'll add you on Facebook and then post it on the
Amazing.
comments of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it for sure. Yeah, it's been, I'll just speak into that. It's been a really interesting process making a series of like, hey, just like grab their attention. I'm not going to over explain this. Like just start breathing with me right now. Right now. Cut the crap. You can read the crap in the captions, right? And it's totally working. And I even find myself watching myself as I'm editing this. I'm like following my own directions. I'm like, wow, this is powerful. Yeah, that's really cool. And one last little 5-second piece, because I want you to get where you're going with the call. When I was launching for this like somatic ceremony, the sound ceremony, and I just in the stories was like, we're going to be doing like, people loved it. They're like, oh, I saw it, I felt it, I experienced it. I didn't have to over explain it, and then they were like in for it. So it's interesting to like market feeling versus info. Okay, I'm done.
I love it. I love it. And I feel like this goes right into I'm just gonna skip over a couple of these disciplines and go to where is it? Share stories and case histories versus features and benefits. Because I feel like those two kind of intertwine together and kind of explain how you share the experience rather than the concept. You know, these kind of, you can almost tie these two things together. Use certainty versus belief. Like belief is kind of where the concept lies. Like I have these beliefs and I have these concepts and all these things that you can't, it's like Steve Hardison or these guys say, like, bring me a cup of transformation, or, you know, you can't really, there's not really these tangible things. So how do you create tangibility? Well, you create these tangibility through just sharing stories and case histories, and then that's what happened right in this call. Like Dennis shared that was a translator, or he worked through a translator in Kosovo. Like why am I a confident communicator? Well, I had to do X, Y, and Z in X, Y, and Z circumstances. I was a police officer. I had to manage crowds. When I worked in Kosovo, I had to work through a translator. You know, I've been a musician all my life. I've worked in the church. Like it's a case, that's like your personal case history. And then like I help these types of people. Like Devin was saying, when he was like, I got a person to be on a call and to live stream right on the call. Like these are tangible things that ground out whatever business that you're in and make them into something real, so that you don't have to over explain. And like was it Jane who was saying, someone also was saying that like we share stories are what involve people. So the more that you're able to share a tangible story that is colorful and connects with someone, they can see themselves in the story, they can see themselves as that character, such a better chance that they're going to want to do that, to have that experience themselves. So we've already kind of like touched on this, and I just wanted to go here because people in the conversation were already doing it, right? We're already practicing these disciplines. So if anyone has anything more that they want to talk about in connection to that, Layla?
I always have to figure out how to unmute in the phone. Hi. I just got off a call. That's one of my gifted little experience moments, and sometimes the thing that actually gets in the way of offering the experience or being able to fish out those stories, because I think that's wonderful, and I think it's very real for my inner voice potential clients and also my birth clients, like even music, like being able to look at a person and say, and they're telling you some kind of issue or problem, you're like, I have the same problem. Like, check this little nugget out. Or you hear them saying something over and over again, and you're like, I really want to speak to something, and I'm going to tell you a story about that thing that I'm, as opposed to like pointing. Sometimes it's really interesting how stories can open and expand avenues of growth. And the thing that I think that sometimes gets in the way is in a sale, or in the sense that we're looking or seeking or trying to find a fucking income. Okay, like, let's get real. We're trying to get our monthly rent paid and our grocery bills done, and I don't know how everybody else countries are doing, but Canada's insanely expensive right now, so here we are trying to do all these things that are like, oh, I'm trying to sell this thing, or I'm trying to get this client, or give this service. And sometimes I think what gets in the way is the thought of the getting of the money. And then instead of being able to really give that experience truly deeply, or be able to find those stories that will really, make opportunity happen, we get stuck on I really freaking hope this works. I really freaking want, this thing. So in this particular conversation I just had, I was hoping back here that this person would be able to join my group thing that I'm going to start hosting in August. And she started it off by being like, I don't have any money. And I was like, immediately was like, you know, but then I also know that I offer private sessions with people. So instead of closing down in my own being and be like, oh, this is failed, you know, I was like, I'm just going to give this experience anyways. I'm just going to be exactly what I'm choosing to be. I'm going to service exactly what I'm trying to service. This is supposed to be a gift anyways. So fuck, Layla, just gift it. Stop with this like, oh my God, I just lost, you know, kind of concept of looking at the situation. And at the very end, so what I've been gifting is 2 conversations, one to explore and one to reflect. And in between, we make an agreement about what the person's going to do in terms of work or reflection or whatever, like the actual work part. And then I'm like, okay, the very end, I say, did we already book a second call for that reflection piece? So I've received their agreement. You know, I'm like, yeah, you're going to do this work. Amazing. This is going to be so fun. And I'm totally in the mind of gift, you know, and then she said something else and I was like, story time. And I only had maybe 5 minutes left. And I quickly shared a story with her about seeing solutions in your enemy, which I'm not going to get into right now. And I've spoken to before, but wow, is that a powerful thing for a person who is standing there talking for an hour about everything she stands against. And that is what broke it open. And you know what she immediately said afterwards? And then because I wrapped up the story and I was like, well, I really got to go, because I did. I really wanted to hang out with you guys, but I was like, I really got to go. But let's book that second piece. And I went straight into the calendar. I didn't really pause. And I just went straight into my calendar. What about this day? And she's saying yes. And she goes, so when you work with people individually, and I was like, oh my God, wow, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's like we have to put the expectations of what we want. They have to be gone in order for us to actually give that experience fully, to actually be able to pull out the stories fully, and to then, like, I would say 100% you're going to make that sale. You're good, like, because that's what we're doing still, right? Like, we can admit to that we're still seeking an income off of these moments, you know? So that's where I think the prosperity lies, is actually just trusting deeply that the service itself will bring you the prosperity that you put in to it, that you put in the greatest value, and the prosperity will be returned, come at you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, over deliver, undersell, over deliver 100%. That connects to another discipline I want to talk about. It does fantastic, Leyland. Thank you for being so transparent. One thing that comes up for me is to want to kind of tweak the language and be like, because to me, when I think about selling, and this is something I wanted to also offer. Like when I think about selling, I usually think about products. And the reason why I mean that is because when I was kind of working to do like an online music school and talking with people about kind of selling lesson packages, this interesting thing happened where if I did sell them on some music lessons, I felt like my job was done. And then when I actually went to do the service, that felt like this extra thing I needed to do. You know, like say if I was selling washing machines, well, I would go through the whole effort of selling a washing machine, then they'd buy the washing machine and then it would be over. And then I would have sold the product, you know what I mean? When I think about a service-based industry like coaching, where you really are serving someone, I feel like I am enrolling them into the thing. I'm not making a sale, I'm building a relationship. And why I really feel like that is because when the conversation is over, where the person decides that they want to pay for the services, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. So I haven't sold anything. I have created a relation. If I was selling something, they would just take that and then they would be like, "Thanks for the t-shirt, have a good day," or like whatever that was, you know. Or when someone sells their services, like they fixes your toilet or something like that. They do it and it's over, right? It's like a one-time kind of thing. But when you enroll someone into a whole way of thinking where they're going to open up and transform their lives and change, I think the word sale just doesn't do it. I just feel like it doesn't do it justice. It doesn't show the long-term kind of elements that are in play. That's my personal opinion. Maybe it's coachy, but that's my personal opinion on that. Uh, I hope that's okay. That's just my. But does anyone else want to say? Other than that, I think everything you were saying was amazing. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that? Because I have another discipline that I want to jump to from what Layla was saying. So yeah, Jane, go for it.
I've just had one of those aha moments. I created a package that I sold and was building as I sold it, and I lost interest the minute I sold it, and yet it's not finished. And I just had that aha moment of I wasn't selling an experience, I was selling a package. And the motivation went, oh yeah, I just wanted to share that. It was just like, wow, I've just seen that.
Yeah, and that's like I would say that's like how Devin was talking earlier about like you build this whole marketing concept and everything, and then you sell that and you feel like you did so much work to do the marketing that, and then once you sell it, you're like, okay, great, like you know. But when you're actually like building relationships and enrolling people and bringing them closer and everything like that, and you're doing it based off a transformative experience that's happening in the moment, it's not based off your marketing and stuff like that, you feel like the energy is in the experience and the relationship. The energy is not in the product, it's not in the time spent on marketing. It's
Also, that bit's more fun.
100%.
The
It's
conversations are much more fun. So yeah, we get more out of that.
yeah, for sure. Hopefully the whole
Absolutely.
world
But
gets
when
more.
when we sell a product, when you sell a product, it's kind of the feedback to yourself is very limited. But in a conversation, or when you're sharing music or whatever it is, there's a win-win, isn't there?
Mhm.
That's a really positive motivation.
Absolutely. And even with music, in the sense of like performing music is a
Yeah,
lifestyle. Like they continuously perform music.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's much different than say recording a CD one time and then mass producing and selling that product. So it's two very different, to the point
yeah.
where people will say, I'm a recording artist. A recording artist is different than a performing artist. So being able to like know those differences and the different energies that are involved in them and the different frames of mind and what gives you energy and doesn't, super important. I like I find Devin.
Yeah, one little nugget that I think would be useful for everyone here. It's a concept from Brendan Burchard. I don't know if anyone, I'm sure a few of you are. I know a few of you are. Brendan Burchard is like Oprah's performance coach. He's an interesting fellow if you guys want to go down that rabbit hole. But the piece that I wanted to share was he says, work the end result. And it's so brilliant. And there are so many times that I see people be like, I want to be a coach, so I'm going to go master content creation, funnel creation, offer creation, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, why don't you just go coach people?
Mhm.
It's like writers write, musicians make music. Go just work the end result. That was useful for me.
Super useful. I would even say that with like even Layla's daughter is a graphic artist, and getting her to look at a project from the final kind of like she does graphic design, like comic books and stuff like that, to get her to think about the final frame, like what's going to happen at the very end, and build backwards. Like, how are you actually going to resolve this story? That's difficult for her to think about, you know? So I think it really is a skill that you build to be like, what's the final resolution? What's really going to happen here? What am I building towards? And then building back from it. Mary actually talked about that, about going so far as to reverse engineer your, like, think about where you want to be at 70, reverse engineer backwards step by step. That's difficult, you know? Dennis, and then I want to move to, I have another one that I want to share here, another discipline.
One of the most profound pieces of advice I received from anybody is when I was putting my podcast radio station together here in Calistoga. And initially, it was to look at some measures that were going on associated with growth, associated with some large resorts coming into town. But it ended up being so much more, actually, even to having an international reach. And my friend Dan Kintz looked at me one day when I was putting things together. He said, "Do you want to be the guy? Then be the guy. Do you want to be a coach? Then go coach. You know, if part of that involves having a program, offer that program, but coach while you're offering the program. Don't sell the structured program. Get people excited about the outcome, about the experience, about what's going to happen as a result of having that information, about having that transformation in your life, and how much more effective you're going to be, how much better you're going to be able to prepare to do those presentations, to talk to people, to promote your business, to continue your career, all of those things. You want to be the guy? Be the guy.
Yeah, it's very simple, but very, very true. I feel that for myself. Just be the guy. Like, sometimes I think that's a big thing for me. It's really big. Just be the guy. Just do it. Be the guy. Layla.
I just had an aha moment. I like that, Jane. Aha. um, and I dig it. The resistance in me of changing a word from selling to enrolling is totally there. Okay, so that's there. But then if I pull away from the semantics of those two distinctions, and I look at the fact that you have created something out of the prosperous coach, and you always are talking about how this is the prosperous person, not just the prosperous coach. And I know a lot of the people in here are coaches, but there's like a million ways that we can be. And I just be the guy. And then I was like, prosperous person. So maybe what I experienced is that when I put the money aside and I'm doing this, I'm actually being a prosperous person. Like, I'm being in prosperity because I'm like, I can give an abundance of this. I can give an abundance of my time. I can give an abundance of experience. I can give an abundance of storytelling. I am abundant in my like prosperity, or my ability to prosper, or grow, or, you know, pretty much anything. So then if I'm really being in that way, and I think about it in that way, then I can see what you mean about the idea of enrolling, in the sense that, and I think at some point in the future, there'll be an even more specific word, because enrolling to me still is like join a class. Like that's just me. I'm stuck on, and Neil always talks about enrolling. I'm like, oh, please, with the enrolling. Oh my God. But it's okay. I get it. Like, that's a, you know, but just if I was to pull it out from my own understanding, from not just strictly coaching, because I understand that it, you know, but if it's like further back from that and really the prosperous person, well, how do we gain prosperity? If we don't want to talk about it as selling, then how are we cultivating prosperity? Well, we have to cultivate, like we have to be it. We have to actually be the prosperous piece. And that inevitably is going to attract people into our realms who also are interested in prosperity. So thank you. I'm still not okay with enrolling, but I'm trying. Goodbye. I have to scoot because that wild Mary lady and I are getting on a chat and I'm scared shitless and I need to sit with myself for 8 minutes before it happens.
Yeah.
But I love you guys.
I wanted to speak to that. What are you gonna have for it? You're like, I gotta get. I don't think you're gonna be able to make it off the call, Layla. You're stuck in here with us. Um, one thing I really learned from the Prosperous coach too was the person that you have to enroll the most is yourself. Like you have to be powerfully enrolled in yourself, and that's actually something that I learned just yesterday. That I wasn't even enrolled. Like it's interesting how deep the layers can go because I bailed on I didn't I'm down in Vancouver with Layla for this recording session. I've been helping her with her music for like almost a week now, like engraving and notating all this music for string players. That's like one of the things that I do is edit and format and write arrangements for string players. So I've been helping her with her stuff and been so focused on her recording project and help supporting her with it. I missed a call with one of my clients and it was like the worst. And my client was so upset with me and was like, yo, like this is such vulnerable work and this is so important to me and like you left me out to dry kind of thing. And I realized in that moment that I wasn't taking myself seriously enough, that I wasn't appreciating my own skills and my own ability to help this person. They were actually appreciating it more than I was. Like I didn't go through this, I didn't schedule, I didn't do the things necessary in order to create that situation the way it should have been created. And it was because deep down I didn't believe in myself. And I wasn't deeply enough enrolled in my own coaching skills. So it's like no wonder certain elements of my business are only where they are because I how do I expect other people to be enrolled that deeply if I'm not enrolled that deeply, even though they are enrolled almost deeper than I am, which really it shook me. It actually disturbed me. I was like, whoa, I am not showing up authentically in this enrollment thing. I'm not showing up powerfully enrolled. And I thought I was. So it really was like, this shit goes fucking deep. If I was gonna put it in the most street way possible. Okay, anyways, with that being said, I want to point out one thing that Layla said, and I think that this is really important, is needy is creepy. Stay with their wants versus your needs. You know, and like she said, like that's prosperity. In my opinion, is that when you're like, I'm here for you 100%. I am abundant. I trust the universe. I am held by existence. Like I am deeply enrolled in what I'm doing and believe in the transformative power of our work together, you know, and that it's going to bring what it's supposed to bring you and it will bring what it's supposed to bring me. So that I think that does anyone want to speak to that? Nice. Devin.
This is like rewind 15 seconds what I'm speaking to. Does anyone here see other people that are consistently selling online and you feel like some sort of way about it.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is fascinating, especially with what Neil just said, because I think in that it's not necessarily even like sales or what they're doing, but you're seeing an example of someone who's fully enrolled enough to go share about it consistently. And it shows you, or I'll speak for myself, it shows me where I'm not fully enrolled, where I'm not that confident to be like, yeah, I'm going to offer this every day because it changes lives. That's really valuable.
Totally, 100%.
And the like question to bring it around for everyone, I think, would be if you believed in your service like you had the cure to cancer, would you talk about it?
Totally.
Maybe daily, maybe more than you are now,
Mm.
unapologetically.
Mhm. Yeah, that's super powerful, man. Yeah, gotta look at it from that perspective. Like on, I feel like that's even true about music, about art. I see a lot of people kind of timidly putting their art out there, like, oh, the global world is in such conflict. I shouldn't show you my art. I feel so embarrassed. And I'm like, I am so happy for that I can listen to your art, you know? Like, thank God your art is here because there is such intense conflict and I need something to like show me that there's still soul in the world. So yeah, I definitely hear that. The enrollment thing is so key. It's like a constant, like that building the relationship with the self, enrolling deeper, having faith in what you're doing is really on that level of. And just to speak to what I was saying, like I didn't realize that it was on that cure to cancer level until my client was like, "Yo, where are you?" Like I'm showing up to do work that's really important to me. Is this not important to you? And me be like, yeah, it is really important to me, and I'm just failing at scheduling and doing the things that are necessary to create that level of support. So it's like a thing that Nick said to me too, is like show up to your clients like they're paying you $1,000 an hour. You know, like even if they're not, like make that a reality in the moment. Anybody else want to weigh in, or can I move on? Jane?
Just speaking to what Devon said, I noticed in myself this week when I was looking at somebody's posts, somebody that I coach actually, who'd really started posting really confidently about what they were doing and what they were offering. And I'd noticed when I saw that, although I didn't share it, a sense of jealousy in myself. And what I've just realized is that I'm not fully enrolled in me. And that's where the jealousy came from, because I wasn't jealous of their work. I was jealous of their fully enrolled in what they were doing themselves. And I've just noticed that. So thank you. That's a second aha moment this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, you got some gold in here. Yeah, Kate, go for it.
Sorry, I can't work the hand thing today. To listen to you saying that, Jane, and the links of these conversations, and I remember listening to Sachin introduce me to the word compersion, and there are lots of different definitions, but the way that he interprets it is that the opposite of comparison is compersion, and to enjoy the success of other people as opposed to feel some sort of I'm not sufficiently enrolled, I'm not. And I reflected on when I was learning to swim, I was looking at like proper like head in swimming. I was looking at all the other people in all the other lanes, and well, they're faster than me. Oh, their legs, they do the other thing. And oh my God, you know, they're half my age. No wonder they can do the thing. By default, I'm criticizing myself for not being 6 foot tall, half my age, and able to do it without armbands, as opposed to I aspire to be them. I celebrate them. I watch people, I watch their technique. What can I learn from them? So I'm not coming from a place of comparison. I'm coming from a place of compassion, so that then I'm enrolled in learning to swim. I'm enrolled in the course I'm creating, whatever it is. So I'm not seeing it as there is no comparison. There's only, what can I learn? What can I see? How can I aspire? So comparison is a word that, I've got quite a lot of words in that box I never go down anymore consciously. And comparison is one of them, because it only ever brings something that are lacking. Whereas compassion, I aspire to be all of you. I don't think, oh God, I'll never be Jane and I'll never be Devon. I don't think like that anymore. So what can I learn from them?
I love that, Kate, and it makes me really think about a conversation that Nick and I had where we talked about having a resonance with people. Like you see a trait in somebody else, and it's because you resonate with that. Whether it's like a latent trait hasn't really come out yet, or it's a trait that you do have, that you both are kind of like have a camaraderie in. But being able to see those things, like you're saying, not compare yourself and go, oh, I'm not like that, but to be able to be like, that really sounds a bell in me. Like Jane, what you're saying, like with this person, with like, oh, this person's deeply enrolled. This sounds a bell in me. Like I want to be deeply enrolled, like, or like I'm on my way to being deeply enrolled, or I'm growing into this enrollment. You know what I mean? It's not like you're not doing something. You're definitely there, but
Yeah, just to speak a little bit to that, and the interesting thing was I was actually commenting to this person about how I'd seen the confidence in her posting grow, and how amazing her posts were, and how they were drawing people in. And it was in saying that, so I was doing this, and I was thinking, that's amazing. But in what Devon said, it was the sudden realization that some of that feeling I was having that I wasn't sharing, that feeling I was having was because I was noticing that I wasn't as enrolled as this person was in what they were doing. It's not a comparison. It's more a case of, oh, there's more enrollment to have. And I think that's what I was noticing. There's more enrollment to have, as opposed to they're more enrolled than me. I think it was clumsy words. So thank you for that, actually, Kate, because I felt it important to clarify that actually this is about, oh, there's more, as opposed to, oh God, I'm not doing it.
yeah, I really resonate with that. Like that's also where I'm coming from. Like, wow, and it can be enriching because you're like, why aren't things working, or why are they working? Why are they growing in the rate that they're growing in? And then it's like, oh, because there is actually much more powerful levels of personal evolution and enrollment that are available to me. Wow, this is pretty cool. Like I'm growing in a way that I didn't know I had access to. So we're gonna keep pushing here because we had some amazing things. I think that this is one that I have struggled with a little bit. So I'd love to speak to this one. No cold calling. Use or create inner circle connections. So this is really cool the way that this is said too, right? Like use, and that's not italicized, or create inner circle connections. So I think that this really, to me, this really speaks to, well, for one, to building relationships no matter what. That you're really in the relationship building game, and that the stronger your inner circle connections are, the better chance that you're going to create connections where people do work with you, where you can be of service to more people. I remember in Project Domino, Nick actually asked us, like, hey, like, think of a few people who you could help right now, And I was stuck. I couldn't think of anybody that I could help. It's still sometimes a continuous kind of like issue to be, if I should really put it, like, fearless, right? To fearlessly be like, hey, I know people who are close to me, who I could be having conversations about these types of things with, and be, like Devin is saying, enrolled enough to believe I have the cure to cancer, and speak with people about this stuff in my inner connections, to believe that it really is useful to everybody. So that's kind of my story, and I'd love to hear struggles or triumphs, either way, really.
I will.
Go for it.
I told myself the story, like you said for yourself, Neil, that I don't know anybody and I don't have any connections, outside of my mum and my kids. That's it. And it served me to not have any connections or conversations going on, because back then I was also mute. And then there's been this shift that the more it started, oh, who have I worked with over the years? Where have I worked? Oh, okay. There's some people there. Oh, who did I go to school with? Oh, people there. Who used to work where I work? Oh my God, there's people there. And so, and I think, Jane, I remember you saying this as well. I don't know anybody. I feel like lots of us have been in that place. Well, we can't do this discipline because we don't know anybody. So, was it true? No, but it served me to think that it was, because then it saved me having to do the thing, which was create conversations. So then it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't really know, but somehow I'm having lots of conversations and I have a big old community, and I voluntarily join things now, enroll myself into things, and from there come other conversations. But yeah, it wasn't very long ago that I was mute and I had no community.
Well, I just have to acknowledge you, Kate, about like, I cannot imagine you mute. You're just like you're just such a vital person. You have such vitality. I cannot imagine you not beaming out into the world that level of vitality. You know what I mean? It's just very honestly, like, I'm surprised that you're not like CEO level. You just have this real, just this palpable certainty in your energy. It's very apparent. It's like there's a gravity to your being. It's very beautiful. Yeah. So I just can't believe that you were mute. It's just like, okay. Wow, I have a lot to learn. I think that there's the energy too that you put into that, about how, like, just even the way you spoke about it, about like, there's this group of people over here, there's this energy over here, and there's this energy over here, like there's these networks, these little bundles of people who that you could connect with, and kind of enter into those places and find ways to serve and help. It was very, very palpable, like it was like you could there's clarity there, like you could really see it. And what you were saying about, like, it served me to not believe I had anyone except my mom and my kids, and that and there was no energy there. And now you've gone all the way over to here, and they're like, now I have all these things and all these different energies I can draw from. I think that's really inspiring. Another thing that you said that I thought was really interesting was how you said that you joined different things, you enrolled yourself in different things. And that to me is the prosperous person. Like, that's the crazy thing, is that the more that you're seeking these connections and relationships and like being of service and conversations, the more vitality, like, you're showing, begins to emerge. There's like, you're no longer just in this little place doing a few things with a few people. Now, like you said, there's a big, broad level of connection which you can draw on, I'm sure, for lots of things. You know what I mean? Like, you got that van or whatever. Like, did you know the person who you got the van from?
No, I don't, but I made friends with them too.
Yeah.
And what I've learnt is people like the other person to strike up a conversation. So I do it now. And I think in my life, I had like two rubbish experiences with two rubbish people. And so I tarnished the whole of the world with that brush. And then I said to Devon the other day, I love Americans. They're all so lovely. He's like, 22 of them in Project Domino. But some people don't always want to reach out and start a conversation. So I've become a conversation starter. And honestly, all the people that knew me before 2 years ago, they'd be like, really, what has happened to you? But it's a joy. I love the joy that having conversations brings. And truly, 2 years ago, I'd be like, no, mute suits me fine.
Wow, that's fun. You know what? I'm gonna use this to digress, and we only have 15 minutes yet. I want to talk about this because this is like you're speaking it into existence. You schedule conversations, fill the day with conversations until your client list is full. And I think that that is one of those things where we could easily kind of look at that like it is fill your schedule with professional conversations. But that's not what it says. It does not say fill your schedule with professional conversations. It says fill your schedule with conversations. And then I look at Steve Hardison, and that guy will talk to a guy, will have a 20-minute conversation with someone at a gas station. You know what I mean? Like Amy Hardison talks about she walk into the grocery store, and if he's in the car, she comes back and he's talking to someone just in the parking lot. Just she can guarantee that anytime he is around people, he's going to do what you say, strike up a conversation. And I find that to be, you know, I'm not good at that. Like I'm pretty good at it. But the level that Steve Hardison is, and I think that when he talks about, you know, in the Ultimate Coach about how do you need to be in order to be wonderful you? And then I see, and he's like, read this book as if it's about you. Like, well, when I imagine myself just talking to everybody, what comes up? You know what I mean? Fears, definitely, like a sense of like, am I good enough? Will I have something to say? Am I going to be barging in on the conversation? You know what I mean? Am I going to be valuable in this moment? Whatever it happens to be. But so having lots of conversations confronts those things in yourself. And it just does kind of exactly what you're saying. You become this motivator. Again, prosperity. Like, people are living in a world that doesn't have prosperous conversations, like a prosperity of a wealth of conversation. And then here you come as an owner of conversational wealth, and you're just dispensing conversational wealth. You know what I mean? I think that's like a huge part of what we're doing, right? So I thought that was just. Does anyone want to speak to that about conversation? I feel like I'm going to point out Alexis because she's rubbing her heart while we're talking about, and she's the somatic healers. I'm like, I feel like there's a piece in here.
It's an invitation to dive in. I mean, what I was putting in the chat is they really just. I'm in a cafe. I'm sorry if it's loud. It's where you stand. It's your energy behind it all. And I went to actually a poetry night with Adam Roa last night. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he was like talking about the authenticity of emotion, right? And it's like how you're connecting. And so when a lot of us are creating clients, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the room, he's like calling it out. We create a lot of clients in person. They can feel our energy. We're like the in-person sale. It's so easy. So for those of us who are trying to transition that into the online space, it's like, how can you capture your art in such a distilled way that captures your essence so that people feel like they're in person with you? So they feel that connection, that energy, and that resonance. So they're just like, you're just selling through your embodiment, right? And that's why I love somatics and embodiment work so much, because it's like, let's get you down into your truest form, your essence that sells without a sale. You know, it's like just being around you is magnetic and the gravity. And so we're talking about conversations, and I'm just like, I'm like, always touching my body. I'm like, what am I feeling? Let's get in there. And it's like connected to self. And then how can you shine that forward? And just, you're like the lighthouse and the moths come in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that. So you're like, I hear that. I feel it. It's interesting because I can feel that in my shoulders. I'm like, okay, okay. Um,
So
that's
good.
like for me. I feel like the how would I put it? If I was to put it into a being thing, sometimes I feel the weight of trust. Like being like, okay, I gotta I put all of the and all of it on myself. Like, oh, I'm gonna be in this, I'm gonna initiate this conversation. It's all on me. But it's not. It's really not on you. It's just on you to instigate and then see what kind of flows, right? So like letting that kind of the burden off of my shoulders personally to be able to be like, how can I have these how would be the best way to have these conversations? Well, probably the first thing would be to make it a conversation. Like not a soliloquy or whatever. And then kind of like you're saying, coming from the being, there's so much more is said in energy than in words.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to chime in a bit there, right? People just being in our field can change them without us even saying anything. The way that you look at someone with loving kindness, acceptance, worthiness, the energy that you can exude onto someone can make them open up and even break into tears and they don't even know why. I've had this happen to myself and to others. And it's just like loving presence, right? Energy is everything. And so it's like, how are we showing up in sales conversations? Are we like, oh, I just don't know if I'm worthy enough or my prices are too much? It's like that is frequency and they can feel that. And it's behind the scenes. And it's tough because we feel pretty vulnerable, right? But like, can you just be enough on your own? Electric. Yeah. How can you just be like, my presence is enough? And here's the price tag. You want to work with me? Cool. Trust, presence, connection. I could keep going.
Oh, no, I really hear it. I really hear that. And I find it's I find the conversations are practice, like to be able to be that in every conversation. So that when it does turn into, say, a selling or enrollment kind of conversation, it's really just another conversation and it's about the outcome. It's not really about the what it's about what the person feels and whether they want to kind of continue down this same route, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was heavy. That was really good. I love that. I feel though, oh, just want to take a moment because there was a lot of energy there. I felt so much from that conversation. Oh, I remember what, yes, that was great. It was super good, Alexis. Yeah, absolutely. Powerful, fantastically powerful. I'm gonna feel that through the day. And it also reminds me, I don't know why Steve Hardison is just coming into my head over and over today, but it reminds me of him having a conversation with this guy. I think it was Michael Deaton or something. And the guy had a list of things that he wanted to do in his life, and one of them was make $1 million in a year in his business. And he was like, "But I always have that on my list, so we don't have to worry about that." And Steve Hardison just raised like a single eyebrow. It's just kind of like, really? Like, and Michael got from that was like, it's totally realistic. Like Steve Hardison is like, he's like, why would that be a problem? You know what I mean? And just that single kind of like moment of trust and yeah, of trust really being like, that's how could that be how could that really be a problem? I do that with people all the time. Why would it be any different with you? $1 million? That's actually pretty small compared to some people's, like, you know? But it was just like one small physical movement, which and then that guy went on to make $1 million that year. but it wasn't like you say, it wasn't the eyebrow movement. It was the energy, the trust, the authenticity, you know, all of that kind of somatic energy. I think that's super powerful. And yes, electric Alexis is so true. Anyone else have anything they want to say about that, or should we keep going? Okay, cool. So this was one more I really wanted to get into, was find the goal behind the client's goal. Ask about your client's client. And I think I've told this story before, but I will. It really strikes me. It's just a story about that guy who helped his client wanted to build a rocket ship, so he helps the guy build a rocket ship. It takes him like 6 months, and they build a rocket ship, and then he's like, great, now you've created the rocket ship. What do you want to do? And the guy's like, great, now I can take it. I can finally get away from my wife. And the coach is like, no, we could have just worked on your relationship, right? Because sometimes the client's most immediate goal, you can make an assumption of why they're in here with you, why they're working with you, and you could help them with a goal that might actually be a goal that's detrimental to them in the end. So kind of finding what their clients' goals are, the people behind them, and what they're working for. So I'd love to hear kind of some stories about this one. I think that this is a kind of a potent one for people of all sectors.
So Jessica, who was in here before, she came to me because she wanted to have help writing ghost writing a book. And I was referred by another client with the little question from the guide. So it's all like piecing together, hopefully. And we had the session, and she was like, basically, I kept asking her like, why do you even want a book? Like, where does that plug in? And I did this exercise with her, and it got down to she wants a small handful of high performing clients. And I was like, you could write a book and that could help. We could also just like, have you heard of this book? You should come to this call Wednesday. Because if that's what you want, is a small collection of high performing clients, and you don't really care about the book, maybe there's a more efficient way to do that.
That's a fantastic example, and that's crazy because you're gonna work for her for 6 months. And she could have like made the book, got the book published, put it on Amazon, built a website, took like, you know, I mean, did a whole thing, all as really just a way to kick the can down the road, when it really would have been more about, was she deeply enrolled in wanting to have those clients?
And in that, I'll say one last piece. There was a moment where I was like, this is where I could make the sale. And that would not be serving this person.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between selling and serving. And I also trust that in serving long term, like it still keeps the sale open. It's not like that cuts off, but it's like, no, I actually have your best interest in mind.
Totally. I think that that's huge, man. That's like almost the best thing to, let's go with one more here. I think that is killer. Devin, that was killer. Let's actually talk about this one too then. Maintain innocence in getting your yes or no. Yes lives in the land of no. This is one I use a lot. Yes lives in the land of no. If they have to go think about it, the conversation was not complete. That's also something I think about a lot. But also really just to kind of tie that to what you're saying, you know, like you being able to be innocent in that, not trying to go for the sale, trying to go for what would really serve you. Would this conversations, would us continuing really be something that would benefit you? Is the conversation over? Is it, you know? I think that what I just directed a little bit, what kind of feelings have you guys had, say, when you've had a conversation with someone who was like a prospective client? They come to you and they had a conversation with you, and you had a conversation with them, obviously, and it felt like it was powerfully shifting for them. And then at the end, you were like, "Would you like to continue?" And they were like, I'll get back to you about it." I just love to know what kinds of feelings that you guys have had in that experience. I can say for myself, like I felt let down sometimes. I felt like something was taken from me. I felt like I'm not good enough. And I know that all of those feelings are just kind of like they're not really serving me or serving the client, but I just wanted to just to be transparent and give them out so you can kind of get another person's kind of perspective. So I'd love to hear situations where you were like, yeah, this was really strong. I felt like this shift someone, and then maybe the call didn't end the way that you expected it to. Yeah, Ellen, yeah.
It was just the last thing you said there that really resonates with me, but that it didn't end like we expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we expect anything?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that's the trigger. That's the trap. If we come into this with expectations about an outcome, a fixed outcome, and well, I don't know about you guys, but I've personally experienced that the world doesn't always live up to my expectations. Actually, really seldom. However, I love my life. I've never loved my life more than I do now, and I know that that will continue to grow. But I don't have expectations about it. It's more like a knowing about that, but expectations. My expectations of life that has not been fulfilled, there's something else that has come along that has been most of the time even better. So there's no use for expectations. And if we have expectations, then we are in our egos. We are not with the client as long as we have expectations. If we are really, truly with another person, then we don't have our own expectation. We are at least tabula rasa, the empty slate. We are just being an instrument, being used for a higher good. So maybe that's a place to start if one feels down about how other people react.
That's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Thank you, Ellen. That was so grounded. Ellen, you're always just so richly grounded. Rich, just a rich. It's palpably rich grounding. Wow. That's beautiful too. It's beautiful. Wow. Dennis, let's let Dennis have the closing remarks here, and then I think that this is pretty gold. Pretty gold.
I'm on a journey. I'm on a path. I can't see the path because I'm on it, but I draw parallels from all the different things that we discuss. One of the things that I do to create income is split wood here in the area. And I've been thinking recently about all of the things, I was thinking about Mary Shakun and the first time she walked into this executive and looked him in the eye and told him it would be $1 million for her services for a 10-week program. And how she went through all these different changes, and we've had a chance to talk about that. We finally got our Zoom call on Tuesday. I'm comfortable and confident in what I do with wood. I know I'm good at it. I know there's not a lot of people around that can do that. And when I look at somebody and I give them a quote, I know that I can commit 100% to that quote and provide them a better experience than they're getting in pay sales, because I'm the best guy for the job. And so it all parallels with the enrollment thing. I've actually gotten better responses in my life from telling people no than a lot of people get when they are wishy-washy about their approach and unsettled and uncertain about what it is that they're offering. It's like the old saying about a dangerous man, a man without anything to lose being a very dangerous man. And if we go and we realize our own worth, we realize what it is that we have to offer, we realize what it is we see. Every time we get together, we're transformed because we have affirmation, we have realignments of our thought processes, we have Jane Reason aha moments. We got all this stuff going. I love you guys so much. I want you to know that you're such a special part of my life, and being involved in Domino was like, nobody's listening, the coolest fucking thing I ever did. Okay. And it's because of that I'm encouraged and I'm excited this morning, because I'm putting together a new web page. I'm getting something set up, and it's going to allow me to be financially independent, and it's also going to allow me to continue my coach journey on that. So when you're confident about what you have to offer, when you're locked into who you are and what you are, nobody can throw water on that. We've had quite a few vegetation fires recently, and it takes a lot of work to put that fire out. It's a lot of concerted effort to defeat that flame that has been kindled. So what I want you to be is, I want you to be that flame. Don't have a burning in your heart, be the flame. Because you will ultimately set the world on fire. That's what Nick's talking about when he says there's a movement among musicians to realign our thinking, to realign how we treat each other, to realign how we love the people that we perform for, the people that we perform with. And damn, this is motivational. And just being able to do that and be the fire. Hailstorm has a song out called I Am the Fire. Am I brave enough? Am I good enough? I'm the fire. We are brave enough. We are good enough. We are competent, because if we didn't have that desire in our heart, we couldn't burn. If you don't have everything from the fire triangle, you don't have a fire. It takes fuel, it takes oxygen, and it takes heat. And we generate all those things internally, and we are the fire. Be the fire.
I like that. I needed that, Dennis. All right. Well, that was phenomenal. You
I love
guys
you,
always
thank you.
just a collective wealth. Just a wealth. And for everyone who watches this, I'm so happy that you got all the way here, because this is amazing wealth of people working together. Blows my mind every time. So thank you very much. I'm so grateful for you all. And I'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you when I see you. Cheers.